We have here the Nintendo Switch, and all of these are Nintendo Switch games, or are they? Let's check it out.
Let's go into the Monroe world.
Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here. Let's take a look. We do have a whole bunch of real Switch games, but what do we have here? The MIG Flash Cart. Yes, a flash cartridge for the Nintendo Switch. This is the MIG Switch Dumper, and these are all legitimate games that we are going to transfer onto that flash cart and play on the Nintendo Switch. So real quick, there's not a lot of difference between an actual Nintendo cartridge and say an SD card. It's very, very similar. They're just flash drives. And as such, it gives us the opportunity to use another device to read them. Now, much like you can get a card reader to plug in your compact flash drive, there's also a reader for Nintendo games called the MIG Dumper. Plugs right in, and in essence, it's basically the exact same thing as this. It exposes the files that are on that cartridge just like a flash drive would. Not much to see here. USB-C, a slot to plug in the game, and that's it. All right, so here's the cartridge itself. Fairly unremarkable. It looks like any other pretty much Switch cartridge, other than the fact that it's got a slot for a micro SD card, and there's a little button here at the top as well. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Little tiny guy, kind of hard to push too, especially if you don't have any fingernails like me. All right, so this is the cartridge, and this is the micro SD card that we're going to copy the contents of games onto and put it back into the Switch, and we'll use the little button to change games. So that's pretty much it. I mean, listen, it doesn't get any easier than this. It's unbelievably easy. They have taken the guesswork out of it. Now, what is on one of these cartridges? Let's take a look at this real quick, because it might help explain why this is just so damn cool. So if we plug this into the PC, we have a ROM folder with all of these files in here. What exactly are these files? Now, the XCI, you probably know, that's the game itself, but what about all this other stuff? This is what makes the MIG Switch Dumper so amazing and why this whole process is incredible. So we take a look at this little summary table. This is ChatGPT, by the way, but I've independently verified this was just a very clean way of doing it. You'll see if we look through a description of each of these files. So the ROM XCI is literally the entire card game. Now that's encrypted, and we're not decrypting it as part of this process. This is the card ID set. So this is sort of a manifest of what the card looks like, a little breakdown, a blueprint of what the card's going to look like. And now we have, this is the card UID. This is burned into the security chip. This ID is unique to this cartridge. That's how they can ban you if more than one person is using a card with the same ID. You don't share this, you can't find this online anywhere because it belonged to somebody who still owns that cartridge. And this other file here, the certificate, is part of the matching pair to make sure that the cartridge is actually legitimate. Then finally, we have this initial data. Doesn't have a lot to discuss about this, but listen, this is for 100% preservation. All of these files are required. Obviously, you don't get these files if you're pirating it. Okay. I think what we want to do is look at this cart and see how it works. Now remember, I've got all of these cartridges dumped and already put on here for this. We'll go through the whole process in a minute of showing you how to do that yourself, but I wanted you to see what it looked like. Now this is a Switch version 1, not hacked, not modified. It's my wife's original. And you don't have to have a modified Switch for this. You don't have to do anything like that. All you need is this cartridge. That's it. It's crazy town. So we put the cartridge in, and boom, a game comes up. And it's Flashback Classics. Here's the original cartridge, Nintendo. I own it. And you can see here, it really does think it's a card. It's not some clever trick or hack to put it on the SD card inside the Switch. It thinks it's a card, and why wouldn't it? All the files are there. All right, so here's the little button. Let's see if we can push this. You know, I'm not very good at it with this. Okay, I did get it that time. Okay, so now you see another game. Again, I own the original. Thank you. And then I'm going to try to hit it again. Now, here's something that really happened weird, and I was going to cut this out, but you guys know I like to leave this stuff in. I'm not 100% sure I'm pushing the button or not, because there's really no tactile click, and I have no fingernails. So it's sort of a fight to push the button for me without ejecting the card. Now, if you have fingernails, this is probably no big deal. But I did want you to see that if you have a similar problem to this, you're not alone. It's normal. This time I think I got it to click, but it rotated back to flashback. Why? I've got 2 other games on here. Something is not working right. And with this cartridge, if something isn't working right, you see, there you go. We're back to the same 2. It's smart to just eject the card and pop it back in. That seems to clear everything up, and everything will be happy after that. Both those games, of course, are showing as missing cartridges. Right now it shows the cartridges back. Let's see if we can tap that button again. I'll tell you what, it's terrible. Did it work this time? Yes, there we go. There's the Atelier game. And I have the cartridge. I just forgot to show it on the screen. Trust me, I own all this stuff. So now we've got 3 of the 4 games. Now let's see if the last one will behave. Did I get it? I think so. Yes. Cruise and Blast. Perfect. So I've got 4 games on here. I can toggle between them with a button press. And yeah, I mean, how great is this? It's like having a dirty, filthy piracy card, but it's all your stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's your cartridge. It's your unique identifier. It's your certificate. It's your stuff. This is why I think these things are still around, because I honestly don't think Nintendo can do anything about it, because you're not skirting any laws. Now, you'll notice when we run something, it is going to need an update. That should be fine. It's your cartridge and it's your data. So I updated several games, didn't get kick banned, didn't have any problems. Now, would I go online with this? If I had a secondary Switch that I wasn't worried too much about that get banned, I would probably do it just as a test. This is my wife's old Switch, and if I screwed this up, she'd probably be pissed. So we're going to stick to online or non-online play, non-multiplayer, but I did do updates with several games and didn't have any problems. So it works just fine. I mean, it's, like I said, it's crazy good. It really doesn't seem to understand that that's not a, well, it is a real cartridge. It's a real cartridge with real data. Now, I did accidentally not press the right button to stop playing. These games are, by the way, are all on the SD card inside the cartridge. They're not copied to the SD card inside your Switch, which is really cool. Now, I forgot to close the game in progress, and it behaved exactly like you would expect a Switch game to behave. It kind of crashed the system. So this is an amazing duo right here. It really does provide a consumer level of convenience while still staying inside the bounds of the law. Once again, I'm not a lawyer, but everything that I've researched about Switch emulation makes it illegal because you're actually having to decrypt keys and do all sorts of other things. Let's take this over to the PC though and copy another game to it. So we're back here at the PC. These are the 4 games you can see right here, 4 games. And inside each one is the exact same structure that we saw earlier. Great. They're all the same. So you're probably thinking, how do you know which game is which? Well, the Switch will show you which game they are. There's also an index file here. I'm kind of curious what's in this index here. It doesn't come up. Let's look at it from binary. And my guess is it's some sort of what cartridge is up next, which one was there first. I don't know, housekeeping, migflash.com is definitely in the binary, so. And then this is an update file that's just got left behind. No big deal. All right, so let's go ahead and plug the MIG dumper in. It shows up as game card. I go into game card. And right now I don't have a cartridge installed, but it does still show a system folder, which will have stuff in it. Right now it just has an update file in it. So what I need to do is, of course, is stick a cartridge in it. So let's plug that in. And wait for it to refresh, or I'll click it. There we go. So now, look, this looks a lot like the other ones, right? So yeah, there it is. The files that you need, same structure, same everything. Let's go ahead and copy it over to the SD card. Now let's take a look here. This one of the main problems is how slow it is. You'll get 20 megabits per second, and that means that for this 6.55 gigabyte title, you're talking about almost 6 minutes. That's so a gig a minute, somewhere in there, maybe just under a gig a minute. So if you've got one of those big giant 32 gigabyte games, well, you know, do the math, right? So it can take a long time. If we look at our SD card right now, you can see that even with all those games, I'm only using 40 gigabytes of space, 76 gigabytes free on a 128 gigabyte card. So you've got some room. These games are mostly pretty small. You can carry a remarkably decent collection with you. All right, through the magic of nonlinear editing, we are almost done. And there it is, right there. And there's all the files. Let's do a test. Let's rename this top level folder to what the game actually is, which is Night Trap. And we'll see if the switch behaves. All right, good. Time to go back to the switch. Here's our SD card. We're gonna plug it back into the flash cart and plug it back in. Now I do have a brand new game on there. Let's see if, oh, stupid. All right, here we go. There it is. Woo! Just showed right up, no problem. So you can name them as you go. Again, a software update is required, and we'll just let it go. So you need both of these to be legal, and let's be honest, they're a little pricey, right? But listen, how much is your software worth? How much is keeping these nice and safe? Keep them nice and locked up somewhere safe, where if you, worst case it happens, you lose your flash card while you're out. You still have the dumper at home. So yeah, listen, it's a great solution. I can't recommend it enough if it meets your particular use case. Obviously you want to use as fast and drive as possible. I just grabbed one, so maybe my SD card's not quite as quick. So listen, obviously if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below. And of course, while you're down there, you know, like, subscribe, hit the bell. You guys know what to do. I'm Shane R. Monroe. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.